Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. I am very excited to have this young lady on the show, Shawna Ormsby. I picked the title of the show out of her bio, Perseverance, Grit, and Grace, because I thought, wow, if that doesn't describe many journeys, but especially her testimony, she's going to share her journey, her story, and share more about what is important to her and the message that she wants to get out. So welcome, Shawna. How you doing today?
Yes, I am doing great. I appreciate you so much for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. And we have to give a shout out to Yesenia Vega
Yes,
for making the intro. And, I always love to have people who want to share their journey on the show because most of us can resonate with most people's stories because it's about perseverance, grit, and grace. So I told you before we went live that the audience loves to hear a little bit about your background. So share a little bit about Shawna.
yes. So it's amazing. I have been trying to figure out who Shawna is, for a little while now, and I am so thankful for the Lord to really truly tell me like who Shawna is and what her purpose is. That's what I feel like everybody is here to do. Is we're here to search for our purpose, not just to get a regular job, not just to survive through, but our purpose. And I'm just now at age 33. I just turned 33 last month. I'm just really, thank you. I'm just really now stepping into and understanding what my purpose is. So just, quick story. I was born into a Christian family, but never really was raised up into talking about God or Jesus. We just kind of knew he was there, but at age 21, I was just in my room and I was crying out for something to stop being shy. So I grew up without a voice, just kind of out of nowhere. I grew up a very loving child, but around the age 7, I just stopped talking to people. I wasn't very huggy anymore. At that point, I really couldn't even tell people I loved them. And I didn't know why, because there was no reason for me to be like that. I just became so shy. And then throughout my entirety of elementary school, middle school, high school, I was just so shy. And it made it harder to live. I had my friends and I would have people that would try to talk to me too and try to be friends. But then they would think, from what I understand now, they thought maybe I was stuck up and I thought I was too good for people. When in reality, I was just afraid of everybody and I needed someone to pull me out. But I did grow up with the one best friend who was very, extroverted and really pulled me out. So I do thank God for that. But yeah, at age 21, I was just crying out, and I in my mind, I'm not thinking I'm speaking to the Lord, right? I'm just like, I'm frustrated and I'm just talking. I'm just like, I want to stop being shy. So at that time, I got reintroduced to a friend who did Jiu Jitsu, and he was a blue belt. And it was also at the same time where I started watching The Ultimate Fighter. So I never watched fighting before. I would see it on TV and I'm like, why are people fighting each other? This doesn't make any sense. Why do you want to hurt each other? I was a very peaceful kind of person. But when I got to see the show with Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate, it inspired me so much because I got to see all girls doing something that they said only boys should be doing, right? But they're defending themselves. They're getting punched and kicked, and the grit and perseverance that they had, right? It was just awing. And so my friend that did it started watching it, and I told my mom, I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I need to go find somewhere. Mind you, right before that, I was trying to become a bodybuilder. I was, weight training. I was pretty muscular. But I transitioned. I was like, no, I think I should go find somewhere to train. And now where I lived, there was nothing around. So we had to drive an hour away. So yeah, that's how the idea of fighting for my mom and my dad was like, what? Why does my daughter want to go fight people? But she wasn't that mom that just pushed away. She went on the car ride with me and supported me, even though it wasn't something that they really understood. They still supported me in it.
Where did that come from, though? Let me ask you, because that is an interesting jump, right? That's a completely shy and introverted to bodybuilding. And was there a moment where you go, all right, this is what I like? Did you know you liked it before? How did that all take place? Because I think a lot of people are searching for that thing to connect with. So how did it, other than the grace of God, how did that
Yeah.
find you?
Yeah, so the bodybuilding stuff, I guess, started with the idea of wanting to look healthier and feel stronger. I got led to that. I'm a very small person. I'm only 5 foot, walking around $110. So, and a couple of high school friends I had, we started working out together. So as a little tiny group collectively, that's how that started. And then once I started seeing progress, that kind of got it more exciting. And there was a time where my mom and her sisters were working out a lot too. So I think maybe there was something in my mind that remembered from back then of when they were doing that. It kind of like perceived over to me. But then I did do martial arts a little bit when I was younger. I did Taekwondo, and I was really good at it. But unfortunately, my family went on vacation. And when we came back, they were gone. I guess there was like a leak or something and they just didn't tell us. We had no idea. So that kind of ended my journey in martial arts. We didn't find another place to go. But obviously the Lord set me up for martial arts and he was like, no, this is not the end of it. We're going to bring you back. So that was amazing. But yeah, so then from that transition of just seeing what they were doing on TV, that got me excited. And again, just seeing that they were just so confident in themselves and my mom being like, yeah, let's just drive around. That really like encouraged me to want to do it. I guess I got such in a mental way of being so sick and tired of feeling that way. Yes. I was willing to go the extreme, which was wanting to learn to compete and do this. So just encouraging. What I've realized is when other people do things, it gives you permission to do that as well. Unfortunately, we're not all the trailblazer type where we can just be like, I don't care if anybody's doing this, I'm going to do it. There are those people out there. You got to have trailblazers, right? But for this instant, I needed to have permission from other people, other women. And when I saw them doing it, it gave me a permission to do it. So this is why, because of that, I encourage everybody, don't hold back on your purpose because you might be holding back somebody else from their purpose, right? They want to see you do it. They want to see the permission. They want to receive that. So seeing that encouraged me. And once I found a school, which was by the grace of God too, because we drove around to, I think, like 5 different schools, all an hour away, because there was nothing near us. And I kept going to them and I would see a lot of kids training, but I'm like, well, this doesn't seem for me. There's a lot of kids. It's not good. But then I knew what the UFC was. So we went to the last spot and we looked to the right and I saw a UFC gym and they were only open for about 4 months. And that's why I didn't see it online, had no idea it was open, but I knew what the UFC was. So we went in there and met some really nice people. They saw a little tiny, pit bull looking girl that they've never seen that before. And they were like, yes, we got to do something with you because there's something there. So eventually I just started driving there an hour away. And the owner of the gym allowed me to work in exchange for being able to train there for free. So he knew I was driving far. So I would just work there once a week on a Sunday and they would train me and I got my coaches there. And it was great because they didn't put me down for being a female. There really wasn't a lot of women training and definitely there was not a lot of women fighting training out of there. I was there probably for years before any other girls finally started to train and take it serious. So I thank the Lord. I knew what it was doing for me. So I just kept going. I knew my spirit told me you have to keep going.
So how did you make this? Because in your bio, you talk about how you were on a mission. I believe listening to you and then of course reading your bio, this is your ministry. This is what you are. You feel like your purpose. It's much bigger than just you coming out of your shell. You want to really make a huge impact. So what was that like? When did you realize, all right, I got this grace from God. Now I've got to do something with it.
Really, this has just highly awakened me within the last couple of months. I've always felt a purpose because I was led to start teaching classes. I owned my own school for 6 years. started a women's program, encouraging women. And I was starting to get a lot of moms training. So like I started to see, how my voice and just my character was encouraging others who would normally never step on a mat to train started to come on. So, I saw that within the last couple of years. But just February, I lost my school financially, just couldn't keep it going. And I do see now, because I have the spiritual eye, where the Lord tried to keep me afloat. He would always support me, help me. I was able to open my school because a family that I barely knew granted me $10,000 to open up a school just because they believed in what I was doing. So I see where the Lord has placed, these blessings upon my life and what he wants me to do. And he kept encouraging me to do that. But the fear that I had of things that I've grown up with, right? It's hard because there's a limitation that comes into a family. You get stuck in a mindset and you get a fear of rejection, things like that can be, part of your life. And so those things have placed parts in my life and have kept me back. But just these last couple of months, when he woke me up from my last fight that I had in October, November, I was doing great. I warmed up great. Everybody thought I was in the UFC. They're like, who is she? What's going on? But when I fought, I didn't feel like myself, I guess. Everything I knew, it just wasn't coming out. And then in the second round, I slipped. It was the weirdest thing. And she just got on top of me and was just kind of like trying to throw punches, and they just stopped the fight. But after, it's like I felt the hand of God on me, stop me from what I was capable of doing. I know I'm skilled. I know I'm meant to train people. I know I'm meant to encourage people, because God used martial arts to deliver me from the spirit of fear, not being able to talk, not being able to have a voice, being in stage. I fought in 14 different states. I've met a lot of people, and they keep messaging me because I post my stuff on TikTok and Instagram. All these strangers, they're like, your story has encouraged me. You're in story. I needed to hear that. My story is that you fall down 7 times, you keep getting back up, right?
Right.
That's been my story. And so just knowing now, like I felt the hand of God on me. He's like, this is not your moment. This is for her. She needs to continue and going. But your story is not ending. It's just your win is not here, because I don't need you continually fighting in the cage right now. We use that for a purpose. That you did that. You made a voice. You didn't become, undefeated, and that's okay. You're encouraging people without having an undefeated record. For me, that's huge. That's a blessing, because you think everybody wants to see all the wins and stuff like that. But, he wants you to see that all those failures that you have will boost you up to where you're meant to be in your purpose. So it's really just been the last couple months. Now getting into the church and learning about, praying over people, and just seeing how much that fills people's spirit and feeling good and making a difference. That's where I'm just like, this is my purpose, speaking how martial arts can change lives, and how using your voice, not holding back, not being afraid, and just continuously encouraging people.
Which is a gift, I believe. And I think a lot of times we have to have the perseverance and the grit, but we also have to recognize, which as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, well, she definitely is listening, because a lot of times God speaks and we don't listen. We're not in tune enough or in touch enough. One of the things that I want to talk about on your bio is you are wanting to form a nonprofit. So talk about that, because that is, people don't realize you just can't go out and say, I want to form a nonprofit. There are costs involved. There are steps you have to take. So you want to work with children. Talk about that.
Yes, so I definitely feel called to children. There's no question. My children's program with my martial arts school was always something that people would talk about, and I was getting a lot of kids in, especially high with ADHD and autism. And I did have a woman pray over me, and she told me the Lord told her that I am meant to work with, ADHD and autistic children. And she had no idea what my background was. So I know that was the Lord speaking to her, and I've been questioning it. I'm like, why is there so many kids that have ADHD or autism? it's just who's doing something about this, who's figuring out what's going on in the world. So my nonprofit, one, and there's different avenues that I want, but first, I really do want to be able to provide families that have these lower incomes that can't afford to get their kids into these martial art programs, to be able to afford it. I want them to be able to go whatever school they need to go to, wherever they're located. I want to be able to provide support and help and get them to those schools that I know I could trust, because unfortunately, every good thing the enemy tries to get in place, right? And so there are schools, unfortunately, that the enemy tries to plant his seeds in there, but God always uproots them and plants his seeds, right? So I just want to be able to support that, because I know what martial arts has done for me. And I always say, I wish I could have started this as a child, because I know what it would have done for me as an adult now. So the experience that I've gone through, I didn't talk about this too much, but not only children, but I want to be able to support sexual assault victims. So what God gave me as a gift for, fighting, training for 9 years, unfortunately, the coach that I had was training me, but I was also groomed, manipulated, a lot of narcissistic abuse, and I suffered in silence for 9 years. And just 2 years ago, I was able to be strong enough to talk about this and open up to everybody, let them know what was happening to me. And they really had no idea, because I'm this Shawna all the time. I refuse to let something dim my light, even if something really is behind closed doors, So I suffered through that, and it did take a toll on me. And after this last 2 years, I just couldn't take it anymore. And I was crying and panic attacks. And I finally kicked him out of my life, and I started talking to people and telling them what was happening. And I took over my school completely, and I had to teach all the classes. He tried to make me feel worthless, and like I just wasn't good enough, trying to take all these good things away from me. And everybody, when I did speak up, they said, I wish you would have spoken up sooner, because, he was doing this X, Y, and Z, or, a lot of things that, had I spoken up sooner, it would have helped more people too. So this is where I'm not afraid to speak up on my mind anymore. I will, if I feel some kind of way, because I have the gift of discernment, thank the Lord, that feeling of good and bad. I had felt that for a while, but I always like to see the good in people, because I know there is good. We're all God's children, so there is good. Unfortunately, we are born slaves to sin, and things that happen to us in our past can cause a ripple effect in the future. So my goal is with this nonprofit to help the children so they don't have to suffer the way a lot of us adults have had to, and generational curses. And I want to be able to help victims, because I have a self-defense background. I want to be able to provide, victims to know that they are stronger than they think. They're stronger than they realize. I want to be able to provide them with financial support, because if they're a victim of this, maybe they're put in a wrong way, or they need therapy. I just feel like God has connected me with so many great people that I will be able to find them support. But financially, there is a backing that needs to be provided. Like you said, there are things that need to be paid and filled out. And I just, I want to help the children, because we need to stop anything from happening that, I felt like my entire 20s was taken away. But really, it was just time and period. God knew I was strong enough to handle what I needed to handle, because he will deliver us from things that he wants us to help others get delivered from. So I want to really help these children. I really want to help these women and men. Assault victims are not just women. I have been introduced to a lot of men as well, as children, adults, and I want to give them a voice too, because I feel like there has been a big push on saying, well, only women can have this happen to them, and it's not. It's not true, and it's not okay. So I just feel like I have this full understanding of we are meant to be equal. God never meant for men to be higher, women to be higher. It's not supposed to be. We're all capable. Everybody's capable. Everything can happen to anybody at any time. And I just want to stop all of that. So however I can get my platform and my voice and connections, it's not just me. This is God using me as a vessel to do this. These are where these funds that I can raise go supporting anybody that's homeless. Like, I know we are supposed to have a niche, but I really just want to help everybody. So it's so hard.
You listen to God, so he'll direct you.
Yeah.
As he continues to direct you. And what I I love your testimony. I wasn't sure, a lot of times I don't get to meet, my audience knows this, but I don't get to meet or talk to the guest prior. So I go based on the bio, and I read your bio and I thought, all right, this is somebody who's being led, which is a beautiful gift because a lot of people don't recognize they're being led. They close their ears and their eyes to it. So kudos to you. And I absolutely, I don't know how you can't be excited and want to help when you listen to you talk so passionately. So what I want to wrap up with is I want you to share the best way people can reach you, and also the best way people can help you in attaining your goals.
Yes, absolutely. So you do have my Fun Finder link right here posted. So that's great. It's on freefunfinder.com. You guys can donate there. I also do have my Zelle that is connected with my email. So my email is firmonfaith@gmail.com. That is the ministry name that I'm trying to get started. So I do need to get another LLC, an EIN. God just calling me to ministry. And so firmonfaith@gmail.com. I've got my TikTok that I post a lot of stuff on, which is @Shawna Ormsby. So just my first and last name, try to keep it easy. And then I've got my Instagram now, which is also my ministry name, Firm on Faith Ministries. I'm trying to get all of these things going, and you can support by one, of course, sowing a seed. So what my pastor talked about this weekend is the gifts that God gives. And, not everybody has every gift, because if everybody had every gift, right, too much power, we would take it the wrong way, right? So everybody has their part. Everybody has their gift that they're, able to. So some have the gift of encouragement. Some have the gift of leadership, the gift of empathy. If you have the gift of sowing a seed, you're financially in a good place. That is, of course, huge. Or just being able to share this message with other people that are supporting the kingdom of God. They see the movement that is happening. They're looking for peace on earth. It's crazy. So I found a book that I drew in school in 1999. I was 7 years old. And in the book, I drew a picture of two people looking at each other, telling each other sorry. And I was asking for world peace. And this was me at 7 years old. So anybody that is able to financially support or have the connections to support this movement that the Lord is using me to move, that I thought I was unqualified for. I have been battling this, and he brought me to a sermon with Mormons yesterday. With just two Mormon women met me at the park randomly and invited me to their church. And I have my church, but I love visiting other churches. And this sermon was literally talking about how God will qualify whomever he wants. And it's not for you or anybody to question their goal. And like you said, when you're listening to him, you're like, why me? What? And I was running. So the story of Jonah, Jonah was running from his calling. So the whale ate him for a couple of days. That is what's been happening to me, because I'm like, there's no way you want me to do this. Like, it's just little old me. I couldn't win all my fights. What do you mean? But I don't want to run anymore. So anybody that can support financially, of course, see the vision, see that God is working through me. They know it's not me. It's him. He's using my testimony, my story. He pulled me out of so many different storms. That would definitely be the best way. And like I said, this is not just me. It's not just for me. This is a network. This is for everybody. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I will share all your links, and it's hard not to be excited when you speak. You can always tell when somebody's speaking from the heart, and it's also inspired. I'm a big believer in that. You can't talk with that much passion and not have God's hand in it. So kudos to you. Let's get out and support Shawna. Her website's scrolling there, but down below in the body of this post and show, you'll see any way that you can possibly reach out to her. I'll make sure I tag all of her social platforms. Shawna, what a blessing to have you on. I will put you in my prayer group, and let's see that vision of God's come to fruition through you. So I'm super excited. What a blessing you are. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much. I'm very excited. We'll have to do this again so we keep the updates.
Absolutely. We'll give updates. All right, y'all get out and support Shawna Ormsby. Follow that link or the link below, and we'll see you guys soon. God bless you, Shawna.